While scrolling on GameJolt looking for a Fnaf game to make a video on, my friend Subminer told me about an older one that got taken down a while back. This game was called Jollibees. Apparently, it was a really amazing Fnaf game with incredible graphics for a click team game, but sadly, you can't download it. But Subminer had the files from before it was deleted, and he sent me those. So, welcome to Jollibees. Today, we'll be taking a look at why the game was taken down and whether you missed out on a great FNAF game. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Nightmare, and I'm a horror game reviewer and theorist sometimes. Today, I'm going to be talking about my time playing Jollibees. So, I'm going to be splitting this video into 3 sections: my likes and dislikes, what could have been done better, and finally, why the game was taken down in the first place. So let's get started with what I thought was good and what I thought was bad. I'll talk about the good first because, positivity. The game is very well made. This game is made in Click Team, so when I first played it and I saw how crazy the graphics was, I had to check to make sure this was even made in Click Team. It seems kind of like an open world style game that isn't open world, but sometimes is. It's a little confusing. The movement is amazing and it feels really intense. The atmosphere is great and makes me feel like I'm working at a restaurant and also having to check for things coming for me. Every single time I was in this opening cutscene area, I always had to make sure that nothing could attack me because the whole time that I was playing, I was like, oh no, someone's gonna kill me here. The way that you have to go to your office and go to multiple parts of the restaurant to get to your office during the nights is great. It's something I think a lot of FNAF fan games should do, and something that I even think that Fnaf should do for his game FNAF Plus. The gameplay is also pretty good. It's basically just a normal FNAF game, but honestly it's a bit easier at some points, where there's only 3 main things that you have to look out for. You have to keep looking into a vent to keep some weird burger kid out, or don't look in the vent to keep some fryhead kid out, or shut off the lights to keep Jollibee and some creepy girl to stay out of your room. And sometimes you have to look into a window next to you to comfort another animatronic that I kind of forgot the name of. But at the end of each night, you have to complete various tasks with each of the animatronics. These range from tightening bolts while hiding from a creepy demon, mopping the floor, making sure you don't get killed by another creepy demon. Basically, everything is just a demon. That's how I'm going to describe all these animatronics. But the game plays amazing, with most tasks being really simple and has a great trial and error system to it. Basically, every single time that you die, it tells you how to avoid that animatronic next time. It's a great system that I wish all FNAF games use. Some that I've played on Twitch, like Treasure Island, just annoy me because of the confusion when someone doesn't know how to avoid an enemy, and they aren't told how to do it. But now let's get into my dislikes. I don't really like the progression with difficulty in this game. The game overall is easy, with the main challenge being paying attention to audio cues and paying really close attention to everything else. As of writing this, I still haven't actually beaten the game, and that's the only reason why I haven't talked about the lore of the game. Which, by the way, is really terrible. It's not focused on at all in any bit of the story. You get one really urgent lore cutscene at the start talking about how kids were poisoned and no, there's an intruder. But as far as we know, there's nothing else. And it's kind of disappointing. But anyways, the level of difficulty increases too quickly. Things are really weird on the first night because nothing happens. And even if it does, you're fine because you should know how to deal with everything from the first call. But then the next night, everything is thrown right at you. It gets a lot harder on the second night, but even so, that's the easy night. Let's talk about night 5. This night is the bane of my existence. The final night is terrible because it's all RNG based. If you don't know what RNG is, it's basically a random number generator where, with my limited knowledge on this is how I'm going to describe it. If I roll a dice and it lands anywhere from 1 to 3, then example A happens. If I roll something from 4 to 6, then example B happens. I don't actually know if that's how that works, but I think so. Thank you to my math teacher and Subminer for teaching me stuff about probability. This is a big factor in the final night of the game because sometimes Popo, who's the fry-headed kid, will show up at the exact same time that the weird burger kid shows up, and there's no way of telling who's in the vent. And even if you look in, Popo's just gonna kill you, but if you don't, then the burger kid's just gonna kill you. It's impossible. And then sometimes I'm going to be using the cameras and Jollibee shows up as I'm pulling up the cameras, and there are 20 ads that play, and I can't even, like, get out of the camera in time. There's too much that happens, and the RNG is so bad that it's nearly impossible to take care of everything at once. Like, I know that it's possible because people have beaten the game, but I mean, I've spent 3 hours on this game. 3 hours! My next dislike is the ads that play when you turn on your cameras. Basically, there's a chance to get 1 to 3 ads whenever you open the cameras, but the problem is that the ads sometimes instantly kill you. Because if you're trying to keep someone out of the vent, then the ads could instantly be your death, because you won't be able to shut down a vent, because there are 3 ads that are all spread over your screen. Like, get an ad blocker, Jollibees. And you're especially screwed if one of the door animatronics shows up and you're caught watching an ad on accident. Because sometimes you can't control where the ads are going to be. Like, sometimes the ads will just be all crunched up together, but then sometimes they're going to be all over the screen, and then you can't do it. Then you can't do anything. The next thing that really sucks is the virus system. Basically, at random times a virus will appear on your laptop, and you have to find and delete it before the virus shuts off your air supply and kills you. It's really annoying, and it's just something else for the sake of adding something to make the game more difficult. It's not necessary, and it's just, again, it just makes things more difficult. And it's also really annoying if the power is off while you're trying to keep someone out, and then you have to, like, rush around the cameras. It gets easier to deal with as time goes on. I don't think I've died to it in a while, but it's just not necessary. Oh, and also, how are there viruses getting installed on our tablet? Like, can I just ask that? What is happening that we're, like, switching through cameras and we're somehow installing viruses? Like, who is using this thing on the daytime shift, and what are they doing? But now that I'm done complaining and saying what I like about the game, here's what could have been done to be fixed. That was not proper grammar. Oh my god. Here's what could have been done to fix the game. 1, the RNG needs to be fixed. Every FNAF game needs RNG. It's a staple of a game. Most games do to make it a bit more of like a game of chance. And actually, I'm pretty sure all games kind of have to have some layer of RNG to do this. But the RNG is too common. The chance for something to happen, it happens too often, and then it just makes it really annoying and not anything that's like, oh, okay, I need to learn this now. So that way, if it does happen, I'm not screwed next time. Another thing that I would change is making the lore more of a focus. I get that this wasn't a lore game, but if you're gonna add lore, at least make it a bit easier to find. And even some like FNAF's hidden lore, you can't, like, sometimes you'll find it without even looking. Take FNAF 2, for example. There were death minigames after you died. There were like these little 8-bit things that had lore in them. So like, even if you weren't looking for it, you would sometimes get lore. But this game just seems to have like some story for the sake of showing why you're there. Which is okay, but at least express the lore throughout the nights. And not just like show me random crap that I don't care about in the very beginning cutscene that never comes back into play. And again, it might. But I don't know, because I can't get past the final night because of the RNG. The lore is too hidden, and maybe it's not. Maybe the 6th night or something is all lore-based. But it's so aggravating how they have like this really cool intro cutscene that never comes back into play. I really didn't have too many problems with this game. These two are where my wanting to fix the game stops. And mainly because at least with RNG, you can just go into the game's files and mess with it. So, I mean, that's definitely easy to solve on on your own. The lore isn't, but obviously. But I didn't have that many problems that couldn't have been solved with just a simple bug fix update. But that can't happen. You may recall in the beginning of the video, I said an older one that got taken down a while back. But why? I mean, it's just the game about some characters at a restaurant called Jollibees, right? Well, no, Jollibees is actually a real place. It's literally a restaurant that you can go to in real life. But considering that companies like LEGO and even Chuck E. Cheese have taken down games like LEGO, FNAF, and Five Nights at Chuck E. Cheese's, we can very much assume that Jollibees was not happy with this game. It was taken down and thus ended the Jollibees game series forever. And it's sad that games continue to get taken down by big corporate franchises just for trying to make a fun twist on their franchise. And it's not like it was making any money. Most fan games have to be free so that way they're not taken down by Sky or, in this case, a large corporate entity. This game had so much potential, and it sucks that we never got to see it finished to its greatest potential. But apparently the the creator made a series of games called Jolly. Do I know what it is? No. Will I probably play it for another video? Yes, and if you want to see that, please, like, I guess. I don't know. But that's about it. Sadly, we'll never get another game in the series, but that's just how things are sometimes. With that, I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.